Real strength is not about forcing yourself to resist temptation. It is about knowing how to master it. How many times have you tried to quit smoking, lose weight, stop snacking, or break a harmful habit? You clenched your teeth, endured hour by hour, minute by minute, in the end, still collapsed in front of your cravings. It is not because you are weak. It is because you are using the wrong approach. The truth is, willpower will run out quickly if all you do is try to suppress yourself. The more you suppress emotions, desires, or fatigue, the more they will rise up and take control. They do not disappear, just build up, then explode the moment you let your guard down. And this is the moment you need a different strategy. Not fighting, not escaping, but observing, accepting, mastering. We live in a society flooded with temptations. From food ads, cigarettes, alcohol, to social media, movies, fast-living habits. All are silently eroding your discipline and self-control. You cannot escape them by looking away. You can only win if you know how to stay still, observe, and let your craving fade away like a cloud of smoke. In this video, you will learn the strategy called readiness. No more forcing. No more pretending to be strong. You just need to learn how to master your emotions instead of becoming their slave. This is a fusion of ancient Stoic philosophy and modern psychology, helping you rebuild inner strength from the root. If you are truly serious about yourself, not just looking for temporary change, but long-term transformation, then your journey begins here. Be ready, because you do not need to be perfect. You just need to be someone who can control yourself. 1. The epidemic of weak living. Destroying yourself with your own body. Take a look at yourself and the people around you. Are we living more and more in ease, indulging ourselves, and justifying every harmful habit with the phrase, "it is normal"? Someone drinks 3 cups of milk tea a day and calls it stress relief. Someone smokes after every meal because it is a habit I cannot quit. Someone stays up until 2 a.m. scrolling on their phone because nighttime is my own time. This is not a personal problem. This is an epidemic of weak living, and it is silently but surely killing you, day by day. The problem is not what you do, it is how you justify it. But the most dangerous thing is that you have accepted all of it as normal. You may overeat, smoke, avoid exercise, sleep poorly, work under stress. You begin to call giving up being true to yourself. You call addiction a small pleasure. You call lack of control. I do not need to be too strict with myself, no one questions. No one dares demand self-discipline anymore. This is how weak living spreads. Not through viruses, but through ideas. One person gives up, the next one copies. The whole group sinks into inertia. No one stands up. And are you a part of this epidemic?
The numbers do not lie, and they are not slowing down. Nearly 1/3 of the global population is overweight or obese. Over 1 billion people smoke, with millions of deaths each year. The rest merely exist in bodies ruled by dopamine and destructive habits.
Rates of chronic stress, insomnia, and emotional disorders are rising rapidly among people under 35. These numbers are not meant to scare you. They're meant to make you stop turning a blind eye. This is no longer a matter of only the strong survive. It is about who stays aware, disciplined, and forward-thinking. Your body is not a machine. It is a prison if you do not master it. Your body reflects your lifestyle, not in shape, but in biological state. Every time you overeat, smoke, stay up late, you're not relieving stress. You are sending hidden signals to your nervous system saying, make things more chaotic. But after 6 months, a year, 3 years, you will feel unexplained fatigue, lost energy, poor sleep, irritability, and worse, loss of purpose. Stress hormones spike. Insulin becomes unstable. Your immune system shuts down. Your biological clock becomes seriously disrupted. You may not feel the damage today. At that point, no matter how smart, talented, or wealthy you are, you cannot achieve anything if your own body is fighting against you. Why do we not change, even when we know it is a trap? Because we do not see immediate consequences. 1 cigarette today does not give you cancer. 1 midnight meal does not make you obese. 1 sleepless night does not kill you. But that is the trap of delay. The less you feel the consequence, the more you loosen up. The more you loosen, the deeper the habit takes root. And when consequences finally show up, you do not have the strength to escape anymore. Stop now, before you lose the awareness to stop. Do not wait for the doctor to warn you. Do not wait for your spirit to hit rock bottom. Do not wait until your body no longer obeys you and your self-worth is gone. You must take back control. Start with the smallest things. Cut down on addictive substances. Sleep on time. Enough hours. Move every day. Even just 15 minutes. Stop saying "I know but" and start taking action. Conclusion: no one can save you from the epidemic of weak living, except yourself. And change does not begin with reading more theories. It begins with one simple decision. I will not live one more day in ease and weakness. Do you dare? 2. The root of weak behavior. Are you being pulled, or are you choosing? Do you think you are living according to your own will, or are you simply reacting to what the environment is feeding your mind? A piece of cake, a cup of milk, tea, a dopamine-triggering video, a friend's whisper saying just one cigarette. Where do they come from? From your conscious choice, or from thousands of invisible signals you no longer recognize? Here is the chilling truth. Most of the behaviors you think are voluntary are actually the result of unconscious programming. You are not deciding, you are just reacting. You are not weak on purpose, you are shaped to be weak. Since childhood, we have been surrounded by environments that encourage ease. Kids are comforted with candy, emotions are silenced with fast food. Effort is rewarded with overindulgence, sadness leads to eating, stress to drinking, fatigue to endless scrolling. You did not learn to face emotions, you only learned to escape them through quick gratification. The danger is not that you are weak, it is that you do not even realize it. You think this is just who I am, when in fact you are operating like a machine programmed by habit and advertising. The invisible world controls you. From social media to the cake on the shelf, think about it. Have you ever truly wanted to eat something? Or were you just triggered by an image, a sound, a scent? A food video shows up just when you feel bored. A discount pop-up appears when you were thinking about dieting. A friend smokes right next to you when you are stressed. That is not a coincidence. It is a script written for your behavior. The modern world does not need to force you. It just needs to be clever enough to strike at the right moment, the right weakness, the right fear. When you are no longer aware, you become a slave to reaction. Every weak behavior starts with a signal, a thought, a feeling, an image, a craving. If you do not see it happening, you will react like a puppet. You think you are choosing to eat, to smoke, to scroll. But in truth, the signal comes and you act. No pause, no awareness, no real choice. That is when you have lost control of yourself. You are being controlled, and you do not even know it. The first step to freedom. Recognize what is pulling you. True freedom does not begin with action. It begins with awareness. You must pause and ask yourself, do I really want this, or am I being dragged? Am I using this to escape from a feeling? Where is this craving coming from? A true need or a reflex? Asking the question is like turning on the light. And once the light shines on your unconscious habits, you start to see the strings pulling your behavior. You can reprogram yourself. Like a new operating system, the good news is, you do not have to live like a machine forever. You can retrain your ability to notice, interrupt the reflex, and choose again. A simple suggestion. When a craving arises, pause for 5 seconds and take a deep breath. Ask yourself, will this make me stronger, clearer, better? If not, allow the feeling to exist. Without acting on it, that is not suppression, that is mastery. Conclusion: you did not choose to be weak. You were pulled into it, little by little. And you will keep being pulled, unless you wake up, turn on the light, and break the reflex. True freedom does not come from brute strength or iron will. It comes from the ability to stay still in the face of temptation and choose what is right. From now on, when you feel a desire rising, do not react immediately. Remember, you are not your emotion. You are the one who observes it. Will you choose again, or keep being dragged while thinking you are in control? 3. A new strategy. Not resisting, but accepting and observing. Have you ever tried to force yourself to not think about something? The harder you try, the more obsessed you become. Trying to push away a thought, it comes back stronger. Forcing yourself to forget a craving, it haunts you all day. That is not your fault. That it is a mistaken approach. You are resisting, when what you need is to do the opposite. You do not win by fighting all emotions. Desires and fears are like waves. You cannot push waves away. You can only observe them as they come and go. When you crave a piece of cake at midnight, that craving is not your enemy. The real enemy is the automatic reaction, no, I should not eat that. In that moment, you are starting a war. Not with the cake, but with yourself. You are fighting in your mind. And in that fight, you always lose. The brain does not like being forced. It pushes back when you try to suppress an emotion. Your brain activates a survival alert mode. It increases the production of dopamine and adrenaline, making the craving feel even more urgent. That is why the more you try not to think about cigarettes, sweets, or social media, the more you think about them. This is the paradox of control. The more you try to control, the more control you lose. It leads to a dangerous conclusion. You start thinking you are weak, useless, lacking willpower. But the truth is, you are just using the wrong strategy. The new strategy? Accept and observe. Do not react. Instead of reacting immediately, try stepping back. No judgment. No suppression. Just notice and name it. I am having a thought of wanting cake. I am feeling bored. I am feeling discomfort from not being satisfied. These simple phrases are powerful because they create distance between you and the emotion. When you realize the emotion is just a passing current, you are no longer controlled by it. You do not have to fight. You just observe like a spectator, and then it flows away. The ability to sit still in front of desire is a deep kind of strength. You may be able to lift 100 kilograms, but can you sit still for 2 minutes when a craving comes? That strength is not flashy, not loud, but it is the foundation of all lasting success. Successful people are not free from desire. They are the ones who notice the feeling, but do not act on it immediately. They delay reaction and choose based on reason, not temporary emotion. Acceptance is not surrender. It is understanding you allow them to exist without acting on them. Acceptance in this strategy is not about giving up. But if you sit down and say, I see you, it quiets down. You do not let emotions take over. You understand them, observe them, and keep your distance. You are not ignoring your feelings. Emotions are like a child. The more you ignore it, the louder it screams. The smallest moment can decide your entire day. If you can just hold back from reacting in the first 10 seconds, the craving gets weaker. Try it. Next time you want a snack at the wrong time, smoke, or scroll endlessly, do not forbid yourself. Just sit, breathe. Notice the thought, and leave it alone. No quick resistance, no urgent reaction. It's stillness inside. That is where freedom begins. You just need to sit with it and let it pass, like a drifting cloud. Conclusion: victory over emotions does not come from force. It comes from mindful stillness. You do not have to destroy desire. That is the strategy of those who master themselves. No impulsiveness, no immediate reaction, not ruled by temporary feelings. If you practice this long enough, you will realize. Freedom is not the absence of temptation. It is the power to not be led by it. And that is the foundation of every lasting change in your life. For modern psychology proven, act the theory of acceptance. Have you ever asked yourself why you know what is good for you, but still cannot do it? You know you should eat healthy, stop procrastinating, quit smoking, but end up doing the opposite. This is not because you lack knowledge, not because you are weak. It's because you are using the wrong model for emotional control. ACT. Acceptance and commitment therapy. A psychological revolution. Acceptance and commitment therapy. ACT is a modern psychological approach based on neuroscience and behavior science. It does not ask you to fight your emotions. It invites you to make peace with yourself and act based on your values, not reactions. ACT teaches you to accept every thought and feeling, positive or negative, without letting them control your actions. Here is the most important part. You do not have to feel okay to act right. You can be anxious and still say no to the cigarette. You can be sad and still get up and train. Do not need positive feelings to start living well. Most people make one big mistake. The mistake is trying to remove negative emotions before taking action. But negative emotions are a natural part of being human. You cannot delete worry, anger, or temptation. They are signals, not system errors. If you keep trying to clean up your emotions and fail, you fall into a worse loop. You feel bad, and then feel guilty for feeling bad. A cycle breaks this cycle by changing the question. Not how do I get rid of negative emotions, but can I live by my values? Even when negative emotions are present, acceptance is not surrender. It is the ability to face truth. Many people fear acceptance because they think it means giving up. But in act, acceptance is the most courageous act. You dare to face your addiction. You admit your fear, anxiety, or disappointment. You do not avoid. You walk through it. Here's the part that gives many people chills. You do not need to defeat your emotions. You just need to not let them control you. The craving is still there. The fear still exists. But you choose a different action, and each time you expand your inner limits. Scientific evidence. ACT works for addiction, anxiety, and depression. Dozens of studies show that ACT helps reduce substance addiction, disordered eating, anxiety, and depression in a sustainable way. Not through suppression therapy, but by changing your relationship with thoughts. One powerful technique is, I am having the thought that, I am having the thought that I cannot say no to this food. In that moment, you step outside the thought. It is no longer a truth, just a passing stream of consciousness. And you become the observer, not the victim. Commitment. Act based on values, not emotions. ACT does not stop at acceptance. It asks you to commit to living by your true values. You must clearly define what really matters to me. Who do I want to become, regardless of how I feel today? Am I willing to act on that, even when my mind resists? This is a question that touches the deepest part of every person. And the answer does not come from inspiration, but from discipline and honesty. Conclusion: ACT is not a coping technique. It is a new way of life where you no longer fight emotions, but live alongside them. You do not have to always be happy, not always okay. You just have to always choose the right thing, no matter how chaotic it feels inside. True strength is not in how much emotion you can control. It is in whether you can stay committed to yourself through all those emotions, and if you can do that, no feeling can destroy you. 5. The mistake most people make. Avoiding equals failure when facing temptation or negative emotions. What is the most common human reaction? Avoidance. Not thinking about it, not facing it. Distracting ourselves with work, social media, food, movies, anything to help us forget. It sounds reasonable, but it is actually the fastest path to failure. Avoiding does not solve the problem, it only makes things sink deeper. Emotions that are not released do not disappear, they transform. A craving that is suppressed does not vanish, it resurfaces, persistent, then explodes twice as strong. Anxiety that is trapped does not fade, it waits for your weakest moment to strike. You cannot destroy emotions by ignoring them. You only bury them alive inside until they silently claw at you from within. Ask yourself, how many times have you avoided a feeling only for it to return stronger, more intense, uncontrollable? The self-destruct cycle. The more you avoid, the more you are hooked. A paradox, but very common. The more you try not to think about something, the more you think about it. You tell yourself, I must not think about chocolate. Immediately your brain conjures images, smells, memories of chocolate, and you crave it more than ever. The mind does not distinguish between resisting and focusing on. When you resist a thought, you are actually giving full attention to it. And then you get trapped in a loop. Emotion appears, gives avoid. Avoid fails, gives self-blame. Self-blame gives more stress, gives stronger negative emotion you cannot escape, because you are avoiding in the wrong direction. Darkness does not vanish when you turn off the light. It only disappears in the light. Avoiding emotions is like turning off the light and hoping the monster will vanish. But it doesn't go away, it just hides deeper, closer, ready to attack when you let your guard down. On the other hand, if you turn on the light, that is, face and observe the emotion you see, it is just a wave, a temporary phenomenon. You do not need to defeat it. Just need to illuminate it with awareness. Anxiety fades, cravings weaken, and you realize you do not need to fight. You just need to show up. And and once illuminated, the monster is only a shadow. Hidden forms of avoidance. Not everyone knows they are avoiding. Many people mistake this for control when it is really subtle avoidance. For example, eating instead of feeling sadness, overworking to forget loneliness, watching inspirational videos instead of sitting with failure. They are anesthetics, not cures, just covers. Ask yourself, are you doing this because you like it or to avoid a feeling you are afraid to face? If it is the latter, you need to pause, not to shame yourself, but to be honest. Only when you face it do you begin transformation. Avoidance does not give you strength, it gives you fake silence. Facing, though uncomfortable at first, is the starting point of real transformation. You need to learn to sit with emotions rather than run from them. When a craving hits, do not turn on the TV. Close your eyes. Observe it. When anxiety arrives, do not force positive thoughts. Let it be there. When loneliness shows up, do not rush to socialize. Just breathe. Stay with yourself. It is in that stillness that inner strength begins to grow. Conclusion, you will stay controlled by them in the dark. Weakness is not in the emotions. It is in your refusal to face them. You can be smart, disciplined, full of energy, but if you continue to avoid fear, desire, or sadness, change does not start with trying to control. It starts with the courage to face head-on, no matter how uncomfortable the emotion, no matter how strong the temptations stay. Observe, accept, no more avoidance. Because escape is defeat. Facing is freedom. 6. Research-proven readiness is twice as effective as willpower for decades. Willpower was seen as the ultimate weapon for self-control. Just stay determined, power through it. But then millions failed, not because they did not try, but because they were fighting the wrong way. And then a new concept emerged, readiness. It sounds simple, but when science started studying it, the results made the entire field of psychology take a second look. 30% success rate in breaking habits, double that of willpower. In a series of clinical studies in the US and Europe, scientists compared to groups of people with harmful habits like smoking, binge eating, or screen addiction. Group A was trained using the classic willpower method. Force yourself, avoid triggers, power through. Group B practiced the readiness method. Accept the craving, do not resist, do not act, just observe. After 12 weeks, the results were clear. Group A had a 15% success rate in breaking their habits. Group B, the readiness group, reached nearly 30%. Double the success. Not a coincidence. Not luck. It is the outcome of an entirely different mechanism. How does readiness work? You let it appear, stay, and fade. Without reacting, when you practice readiness, you do not try to push the feeling away. This takes a quiet kind of courage. No resistance, no pretending to be strong, no forcing yourself. Just be present and breathe. It may sound gentle, but that is exactly what makes readiness so powerful. You do not waste energy fighting. You do not suppress and then explode. You allow the emotion to exist, and when there is no resistance, it loses strength. Willpower is not bad, just not always useful. Willpower is like a muscle. Overuse it, and it gets exhausted. You might use willpower to say no to one piece of cake, but the 10th, 20th time in a day, your brain rebels. In contrast, readiness is like a neural skill. The more you practice, the sharper and easier it becomes. It does not rely on motivation. It does not drain your energy. It gives you long-term control, not just survive 3 days and crash. Scientific tools proving readiness works. Programs like Smart Quit app, WebQuit, org, and 24/7's support hotlines have put readiness into real-life use. Smart Quit lets users record thoughts like "I am having the urge to smoke." The app replies, "Breathe deeply. No need to react. Just observe." After a few weeks, thousands reported their cravings were not as intense. Many people with over 10 years of addiction, who had failed with every method, within weeks of using readiness, they felt their minds calm down. This is no longer theory. It has been measured with data, experience, and real transformation. Why is readiness stronger than willpower? Because readiness does not drain your mental energy. It does not ask you to be stronger. It allows you to be yourself with all your emotions. Negative feelings are no longer enemies. Temporary cravings are no longer monsters. They are just waves. And readiness teaches you how to stand still as they pass. Wake up question. Are you trying to control? Or are you ready to accept you could live another 10 years the same way? Force through, then collapse. Or you could start today. Sit with each feeling and let it pass without a fight. Science has proven it. Readiness is more effective, more gentle, and more sustainable. Conclusion: readiness is not a life hack. It is a way of living. A new perspective on addiction, craving, fear, and emotion. Not to escape or control, but to master in silence. You do not need to win immediately. You just need to stop reacting right away and observe. That one small shift could change the course of your entire life. Summary: freedom is not the absence of emotion, but not being led by emotion. We are living in an era of overwhelming comfort and lacking self-control. Temptation is always lurking. In your phone, in food places, in moments of fatigue and loneliness. Most people do not fail due to lack of knowledge, but because they do not understand how to master their inner world. Trying to suppress emotion is a method many have attempted and failed, because emotions are not something to destroy. They're signals meant to be seen, accepted, and observed. That is why readiness, the willingness to accept, is not just an interesting concept. It is a scientifically proven method that has helped thousands escape the spiral of addiction, procrastination, and helplessness. Readiness does not ask you to be stronger than others. It only asks you to stop trying to control the uncontrollable and start facing it. Do not think that facing emotions is something minor. That variability determines whether or not you can take control of your life. A person who cannot observe emotion will always be pulled by the environment. But one who can sit with cravings, anger, and fear will act from values, not reactions. And here's a question for you, one that could change everything. The next time a negative emotion appears, will you react the old way? Or will you sit and observe? The truth is, no one can save you from your weakest moments. But you. There is no magic tool, no quick fix. Only a choice, repeated daily. React or observe, avoid or face, tense up or accept. If you choose readiness, you are not just quitting a bad habit. You are building a new version of yourself, steadier, freer, less shaken by temptation. From that point, all transformation begins. Physically, mentally, energetically, your focus, your passion for life. Everything follows once you stop running from yourself. And that is what real freedom means. Not a life without emotion, but the power to sit with any emotion and not be controlled by it.